As,
Go ahead.
as you're aware, the meeting yesterday concluded with a recommendation that representatives of the government and the leader of the opposition would meet today, the 17th of July, as part of the informal process. At the meeting today, a joint statement was agreed upon, and I wish to share this statement with you. At the meeting today, to further hammer out names of persons for the chairman of the Elections Commission, four additional names were submitted by the leader of the opposition for consideration. The two names previously suggested by the president did not find favor with the leader of the opposition. The four names will now be submitted to the president for consideration, and the process of hammering out will continue tomorrow, Thursday, the 18th of July. The representatives of the president at the meeting were the Honorable Walter Lawrence and Mr. Joseph Harmon, while the leader of the opposition was represented by Irfan Ali and Anil Nandal. That is the joint statement of the meeting today.
Um, can you disclose the names of the four that was nominated by the opposition leader?
At this point, we wouldn't want to. We have agreed
Yeah.
that we're not going to disclose those names at this
The,
time.
the principals, when they met yesterday, uh, had decided that they were not going to disclose the names that were shortlisted yesterday. Following upon that decision, it was decided that we will not disclose those names either today. The names that did not find the leader of the opposition's approval, neither the names that were submitted by the leader of the opposition to the president today for the president's consideration.
Can you
The
disclose?
meeting will resume tomorrow. Hopefully, we will hear from the president's side what time, and we will resume the quote unquote hammering out process.
Can you disclose the reasons for the opposition leader's rejection of the two names?
Well, first of all, the leader of the opposition does not have a responsibility to provide
Right.
reasons. However, the meeting discussed various names, and again, as part of the process and as part of what was agreed yesterday,
Mhm.
those reasons, not
We
those
agreed.
discussions will not be in the public domain
Yeah, we agreed not to disclose the reasons either.
at this stage in the informal
We
process.
don't want to in any way prejudice the ongoing exercise because, as you know, it's ongoing, and if we have agreements within, we don't want to, as an expression of bad faith, to breach those arrangements which we have internally.
So to be clear, when you meet tomorrow, how many names you have to look at?
We will have a response, hopefully, from the president's
On the
side
four names.
on the four names that were submitted today, and it is open to the leader of the opposition, because the engagement continues, to submit even more names.
Are you
Um,
and
Active consideration is being given to that.
would you care to say what is the profession of these four persons you have just listed for
The,
the public consideration?
all four persons falls within what is defined in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Could you say at this stage you're open to have the opposition leaders open to having more names suggested by the president?
Well, at this stage, really, when the meeting ended, we have four names now on the table, but it's a hammering out process, and we don't know whether any of the four, we already have four that would have found favor yesterday. Any of the four would find favor with the
I,
president.
I want to
The president
continue. I want
submitting
to
names.
continue to maintain that the language of the CCJ must be read and interpreted in context, and that context is the article of the Constitution, Article 161(2), and that article places responsibilities on each of the two major players, the leader of the opposition and the president. The responsibility of the leader of the opposition is to continuously produce names to the president to find the acceptance and acceptability of the president or the non-unacceptability of the president. The character of that exercise cannot change. So it's not for the president to keep sending. This process is to find the not unacceptability of the president. It's nothing else. And when the CCJ said what they said, it must be construed from that context, that names must continue to come from the leader of the opposition until the president says yes 6 times. You see the word submit
Or to
is
propose or
mentioned
suggest.
in the constitution. The word submit only applies to the leader of the opposition.
Right.
All right?
Opposition.
What it was meant, and we mustn't distort what was meant, or else we will distort the constitutional provision. If we start to think that the president has an obligation or a duty or a responsibility or a power to submit names, then we will end up with a unilateral appointment. The president will be appointing a person of his own choosing, and that is exactly what he did with Justice Patterson, and that is exactly why the court said that the process was flawed. So we can't fall back into that trap.
Is it safe then to say that the opposition leader is not prepared to include on his list of 6 names suggested by the
Look,
president?
if one or two or three of those names find the acceptability or the approval of the leader of the opposition, then of course our job would be much easier.
This is
And we are
a,
hoping that that kind of name would come
let us
from
not
the
forget
president.
this is a part of the informal process. And as the meeting yesterday would have concluded, that names, additional names will be looked at, not limited to what we would have looked at yesterday or the two the president had on the table. Today, those two were looked at and an additional four was placed on the table. As it is now, we have four names on the table that the president has for consideration. Tomorrow, we will know the position
Four and
on
four already approved.
right, and four already approved. Well, the four is in relation to the two slots that are open. So tomorrow we'll have a better idea on how those four fared and then see where we go from there.
Do you think
Thank
we
you.
can wrap this up before the end of the week?
We are hoping we can wrap it up tomorrow. The earlier it's wrapped up, it's in the best interest of Guyana.